Okay, Tomorrowland is a story about a young dreamer who creates a jetpack that doesn't quite work, who runs into Dr. House, who is like, so you made a jetpack, does it work? Kind of. What's the purpose for it? It's like, if you're at a World's Fair and a kid shows up and like, hey, I've got a like 90% functional jetpack. And you're going to be like, so? Um, Kid looks like he's like, 10, and he made a freaking jetpack. And then he gets to go along to a wonderful, magical world where all the smartest people are gathered in an alternate dimension. That's the plot. No, that's the opening like 10 minutes. Well, the actual plot is that kid full of hope and wonder and scientific discovery is a bitter old man. So that's what seemed like a really awesome premise for a film is just a setup. You then meet your female protagonist is someone who knows how things work. Instead of really showing us that she knows how things work, we are constantly told that she knows how things work, which is kind of aggravating. And of course, they do a montage where her teachers are like, climate change is destroying the earth. Dystopic futures. All these countries have nuclear weapons that can destroy all of mankind. And she's like, ooh, hand up. Ooh. And she goes, well, can we fix it? It's a story of one girl's quest to try to fix the future. No, that's just a plot point. It's about robots that are being sent from the smartest people to ever be gathered that are whisked away into another dimension, and how they're trying to stop people from coming to them. No, this is the plot point. It's about robots that are sent across a dimension that have guns that evaporate people, and nobody noticing. It's about a young female robot trying to befriend. No, this is the plot point. There's a lot of things that go on in the film Tomorrowland. It's a shade over 2 hours, and it feels like there's 3 or 4 really good movies just got mashed on top of each other to make this film. And I also think it came out, shortly after Interstellar. And Interstellar essentially has a former astronaut going to another dimension that's outside of time to try to save Earth. But it's done on a super grand scale that it actually works because it has the one primary premise. This one has got multiple premises. The opening, 20 minutes, where it's the young boy in, it's the younger times. Everything's happy, everything's innocent, and he made a jetpack, and he's in this future world that looks amazing. And then they gloss over what would have been this amazing coming-of-age story of this young boy falls in love with a girl, has all the hope in the world, all the promise, and it gets dashed. That's an amazing film. That right there. That is a solid film. It's a snippet. The moment where it's George Clooney helping the girl make it to Tomorrowland. That itself feels like it could have been a full, complete film. But it's bookend with other little sections of film. But the idea that there's a place that exists that's for the best and brightest of the world to try to do things without the threat of politics or worrying about money, which by itself seems kind of pointless. If you take all the smartest people out of Earth, put them in another dimension to try to fix Earth's problems, and they're functionally immortal, would they really come back to fix Earth's problems if they've only done so in an environment entirely conducive to the fixing of problems? I mean, there's some really good ideas there, and it's like, oh, I like the premise. But there's so many little plots that felt like, ooh, I like that. That's just done. Man, it could have been expanded upon. So it's a film that at the same time feels like it's got too many small storylines that could have been expanded upon, but the film itself is almost too long. But it's good. It's a good enthralling film that's too long with too many subplots that by themselves will make amazing films. Tomorrowland would have worked much better as an anthology. If they would have expanded the opening sequence to about the first half an hour, had the middle half an hour been, the girl trying to find George Clooney's character to get to Tomorrowland, that could have been a middle portion. And then they could have ended it with like the recruitment drive portion, and you would have had this, or you could have had George Clooney's story, the girl's story, the girl meeting George Clooney, and then you could have tied it up and just gave them equal, more equal amounts of time. You probably could have had a much more clear and coherent picture. I mean, there's good stuff there. It's just done in a really bizarre way. So, great material. The acting is pretty good. The effects are incredibly violent. With the girl, like, beating one of the robots with, like a metal bar. And one of the very, very, very violent people, like, oh, it's animated violence. You realize that, like, he tore a robot in half, the same robot that killed, like, 4 guys earlier, by vaporizing them. No? It's almost like it could be like 3 different people. And it's not like a Canterbury Tale, where they'd begun with the, here's how it was, and then everything went bad. So, like, here's the recruitment drive, and then just done a more subtle segue and expounded upon some of the areas and contracted other ones. This could have been an amazing film. It's a good film, but it feels like they put way too much emphasis on a spot that felt like it dragged out, and the spots where they put no emphasis really felt like they could have expanded upon.